Good evening, Dean College. My name is Brett Schaubs, and I'm here with one of our seniors at Dean News Network, Troy Edmonds, who has been hard at work on his senior capstone project, which is actually his very own podcast called The Small Screen. First of all, thanks so much for joining me, Troy.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brett. I'm really excited to get to come on here and get to promote my podcast.
Yeah, so let's sort of jump into our basis here of what exactly the podcast is. So, first of all, Troy, can you tell us just a little bit more about the small screen? What makes you love TV so much?
Yeah, so pretty much small screen, like we've said, it's my capstone project for it's a podcast. We pretty much got free reins to do whatever we wanted with it, so I picked the podcast just because it felt like the option that kind of best suited me. So just producing 3 episodes, and I decided to do it about TV. So basically, the small screen is where I come up with a TV show that I've seen several. I'm really into TV, and I just come on, give like a quick review. I give them my overall thoughts on the show, and then I go over like my favorite season, my favorite episode, my favorite character, and then I kind of rate the show out of 8 out of 10, and kind of say if I would recommend it to anyone. And yeah, pretty much what makes me love TV so much is I think the quality, or not quality, quantity of it. Kind of think of like with character development. I'm really into character development, and so a good example I always think of is Jaime Lannister in Game of Thrones goes over this incredible arc over like 3 of the seasons of that show, and I find that much more impactful than if you just watch someone go over an arc over over a course of like 90 minutes.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. I mean, so many people can interpret so many things from TV, and I think it's special that you have that ability to go and especially talk about it through a podcast. So let's dive a little bit deeper, specifically into the topic at hand within the small screen. Just sort of reiterating the question here: what made you love TV so much, into how you grew the love for it over your last couple years in your life?
Yeah, I think it kind of dates back to when I was like a little kid. I think back to those shows that were on like Nickelodeon and Disney Channel, like Drake and Josh or iCarly, Zoe 101, kind of stuff like that. And I would just spend all my time pretty much watching TV for the most part. It just kind of always kept me entertained. And then as I just got older, it just kept growing because I found so many like better TV shows. Honestly, like as much as I love those like that I watched when I was a kid, overall they're not the greatest show, obviously. So I love getting to see like these incredible shows. And then when the pandemic happened, pretty much all I really had time to do when I wasn't doing schoolwork was just watch TV. So I watched a lot of TV shows then, and that was really what then pushed me over this edge of like just really loving TV so much.
So we've looked at the last few years, especially through that pandemic, you growing your love for TV because it's kind of the only thing that we all had at that time. Out of all of the shows that you've watched from when you were first born up until now through the pandemic, you got to pick one. What's your favorite of all
Um, it's honestly, it's actually a pretty easy one for me. It's Breaking Bad. It's a pretty cliche one. I feel like it's a lot of people's favorite show of all time, but that just goes to show, I think, how good of a show it really is. Like, think when you watch it, you can really see how drawn and planned out it was. Like, I feel like even from the pilot, every single action a character takes has a consequence, whether it be positive or negative. And it's just a show that won my heart right away from the pilot. And it's very known for having a great pilot that really drew its audience in. And right after I saw that pilot, I just knew this was like the one of the perfect shows ever made. And a week later, I'd already gotten through the first 3 seasons, so I watched it pretty quick too. Maybe not the best way to watch a show like Breaking Bad, but it's such a good everything about it is perfect, from the acting from Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul specifically to the story. There's not much to say about it. I didn't even make an episode about it because I just think there's not much you can say about it, just because I think it's actually the perfect show.
time? I personally haven't seen Breaking Bad, but I've heard all the rave about it, and just from the explanation that you just gave, I think I'm going to go watch the pilot. I think it's worth it.
Awesome. All right, I've now done my job. I got at least one person to watch a show. Awesome.
Well, Troy, thanks again for coming on today, and I hope your capstone goes as strong as you're making it out to be. But with that, we're going to wrap up this edition here on Dean News Network, previewing the small screen with Troy Edmonds. My name is Brett Schaubs with Mr. Troy Edmonds. Take care and have a good night.